Support me on Patreon, patreon.com/mtgbooks. Chapter 22, The Web, Tsabo Tavoc. Ognate was stalled out, and his forces battered an immovable wall of Phyrexians. The front was a slaughterhouse. Medithran blood, vermilion from the air that suffused it, crazed across the ground in ankle-deep puddles. Higher than ankles it rose, up armored calves past massive thighs and powerful stomachs. The Medithran were baptized in their own blood. They gave as good as they got. Power Stone battle axes flocked in the sky, darted like eagles, and cleft Phyrexian heads. With Medithran blood mixed the humors of Phyrexia, glistening oil, gray matter, orange acid, black venom, pink lymph, yellow bile. The Medithran had cloven every tissue and organ in the vile monsters. They had cut their way straight through, but could gain no ground for all of it.
Forward!
Agnate growled as he hauled his battle axe down from overhead. The blade chunked through Escuda's cranial shield it found paste within, only a shadow layer of vestigial nerve. The axe bit deeper, sliding between bony plates. It macerated white matter, but did not stop the scuttling beast. There were no pain receptors in the organ, and the motor cortexes lay deep beneath the knobby crest. The Scuda drove on, a gigantic horseshoe crab, and rammed Ognate. He fell atop the Scuda's skull shield. Blood slick, he would have slid down to be picked apart, but for his axe. Yanking on the haft, Ognate climbed the beast. He kicked a foothold in the vestigial face. Ognate rose and chucked his axe free. The Scuda bucked, struggling to throw him off. Ognate crouched and caught a handhold in the bony wound. He swung his Power Stone axe again, clove into the thing's head. Metal struck in bone. It was just what he wanted, gripping the axe haft with both hands. Ognate hurled himself off the beast's back. He hauled hard on the weapon. The axe quivered in the bony cleft, but did not pull free. Ognate's weight flipped the creature. Its thin legs lashed the air, struggling to roll over. This was how you killed a pillbug. Since his axe was mired beneath the beast, Ognate drew his sword. He hacked between the rows of legs, viscera within fountained black. Legs spasmed in agony. Ognate struck again, slicing through flesh and straight back to grind along the skull shield. A final attack divided the wriggling beast in half. Ognate strode through the severed middle, reached through the streaming muck, and yanked his axe out. It was a victory, hard won, but Ognate had not gained an inch of ground for it. Scuda lay all around. In their midst lay dead Medithran. What good was such slaughter? Hewing a Phyrexian trooper, Ognate sensed sudden jubilation. He lifted his head above the horrible tumult and saw a glorious sight. Thaddeus, his command corps, had broken through. They ran in a thick pack through the inner ranks of the Phyrexian soldiery, killing as they went. Ognate's growls turned to cheers. He could kill forever in this awful battle if only Thaddeus could advance. The charge was glorious. Thaddeus ran at the head of 100 of his best fighters. Most of the warriors were members of his personal guard. They had survived the trench worms, spinal centipedes, and Medithran zombies to charge beside their commander. Others were fleet-footed grenadiers who pulled hand bombs from their shoulder sashes, hurled them in their line of charge. They paved the way with shattered hunks of Phyrexians. The rest were heavy infantry, massive Medithran bred with extended shins, kneecaps, pelvises, and ribs so that their own bones formed subcutaneous armor. In addition to the Medithran fighters were Urza's war machines. Tolarian runners loped like metal emus and shot exploding quarrels from ports along their sides. Dog-headed Suchi warriors pounded in their midst with hands powerful enough to tear the mechanical forelegs from Phyrexian bloodstock. Falcon engines shrieked down in waves overhead, impacting monsters, grinding in their guts, blasting through the far side and rising to swoop down onto other beasts. It was a glorious charge. These 100 warriors and 2 machines were cut off from the main army, yes, but they tore the belly out of the Phyrexian lines. They each killed hundreds. Every slain Phyrexian brought them 10 running paces nearer to the caves of Koilos. There, the Phyrexian command center lay. In those tight confines, 100 Medithran would be equal to 10,000 Phyrexians. Thaddeus and his troops would plunge through to the command corps, slay the land army's leaders, and press on to shut down the portal. This bloody business could be concluded in the next few days.
To the caves!
Thaddeus shouted, lifting high on one of the swords he held.
Break through to the caves!
His forces took up the call. A wave of Phyrexians swept toward them, perhaps 500 strong. Falcon engines screamed into their midst, impaling 1 in 5. They flopped to ground as their innards were ground away. 400 more rushed onward. Grenadiers hurled their bombs and great overhead arcs. The crude devices fell in the midst of a running wave. Gray smoke belched out, shrapnel tearing through the Phyrexian lines. Many fell in pieces. Others struggled on with stumps of leg or arms streaming golden. 200 more came, unaffected. So it would be 2 to 1. Thaddeus smiled. His teeth were limned in vermilion. It was for fights like this that he had bore 2 swords. The first blade struck a charging bloodstock. Thaddeus sidestepped the attack. His sword lanced with the precision of a marksman's arrow. It clove between flattened ribs and speared through the bloodstock's heart. The beast opened its mouth to scream, only blood emerged. It pitched forward, dead as it ran. Its mechanical forelegs did not need a heart to live. They struggled on. The bloodstock's head dragged on the ground, battered bloody by its own thudding hooves. The other sword tangled with that of a Phyrexian trooper. Slower, more human-like, this vat-grown fighter was cunning, trained in the arts of swordwork. Blades clanged, horned shoulders crashed. Both warriors halted in their charge, unable to win past. Steel raked steel. With depthless snake eyes, the infantryman studied its foe. Through a segmented mouth, it hissed, something that smelled like creosote oozed from chitinous lips. Thaddeus flung the thing back with one sword and brought the other to bear. The Phyrexian blocked the attack with a quick backhand parry. Thaddeus followed the block with a stab that should have eviscerated the beast. It spun easily aside. Thaddeus plunged forward, catching himself. The Phyrexian turned, sword high, and brought it down to cleave Thaddeus. Twin swords caught the blade in air and hurled it away. The 2 blades fell in scissoring motion, catching either side of the creature's neck and slicing through. The monster's head bounded free. Thaddeus drove onward. He had fallen back in his column. They carved through the wave of death, near to breaking through. Thaddeus ached to be in the vanguard. Vaulting the dead, he shouted again,
To the caves! To the caves!
Atop the caves of Koilos, Tsabo Tavoc had arranged a kind of tea party. There was no such thing as tea among Phyrexians, of course, and no notion of a party, which was why the Spider-Woman had to borrow a human term for this experience. To sit on this high spot, breathing the fetor of battle, seeing compound deaths and compound eyes, witnessing the killings by her children and the murders of them, it was a banquet of sensations that could only have been akin to fine tea and pleasant banter. That one there, Tsabo Tavoc had thought, gazing down on the speckled blades as they rose and fell in the opening attack.
That man-monster, Thaddeus, gives me greater diversion than any of you, my children. I would like him to come to me. I would like him to win his way to the caves.
A simple wish, it was. For Tsabo Tavoc, wishes became realities. Her will went out to her children, her killers. They held Commander Ognate and his contingent to a single plot of land, hurling themselves suicidally into that meat grinder just to keep the meat grinder in place. Before Thaddeus, though, Phyrexians melted, their will bowing to the will of Tsabo Tavoc. They fought as they fought because they wanted what she wanted. He came, mustering 5 score of his warriors. He broke through and charged, just as she wished. Tsabo Tavoc felt every blow of his swords. Her consciousness lurked within each of those bashed-out brains. She fled away in the dying moments, only to surge up again in another warrior. He killed her countless times, each death freshly excruciating. Normally, Tsabo Tavoc enjoyed the anguish of others, the killing, but with this one, she enjoyed the dying. Her mind swept out through her folk like a wave, crashing whitely against Thaddeus and his warriors and then retreating before him. She channeled him inward. Each loud assault was followed by an inexorable undertow that dragged him deeper. There was such pleasure in the battle. Tsabo Tavoc was awash in regret as she pulled her mind away from the carnage. Why draw the fly in unless the web is ready?
My children, I call to you.
Their response came in a quickening of pulses, in deep breaths, in deep caverns. Her minions at the portal lifted their heads. Tsabo Tavoc saw what they saw, the wide, dark portal chamber. It centered on a pediment stone that shone like a mirror. The gleaming pediment radiated wires to the ceiling, mechanisms it had powered 6,000 years ago still huddled in the dark reaches. This site was devised by the Ineffable himself in ancient days, when he was not yet a god, but only a Thran. On one side of the shiny pediment, the darkness was filled with Phyrexian troops in rank and file. They marched toward the ascents of the battle. On the other side yawned a wide portal. Phyrexia lay there, beautiful and verdant beneath a blazing sky. Fields of metallic grass held great armies. Tsabo Tavoc sought no warriors just now. She wanted more powerful denizens. Her will crowded through the streaming portal and sank down through the ground. She wanted creatures that lived deep in the 4th sphere of Phyrexia, amid mile-high furnaces and belching fire. She spotted them. They were unnaturally tall and naturally thin, their flesh clinging like old paper to their bones. In red robes, the creatures walked metal causeways. They dipped long poles into pits and poured jerkied flesh into vats, feeding overlarge fish. These were vat priests. They completed every newt, making it a perfect war machine. Spheres and worlds away, Tsabo Tavoc smiled. The vat priests lifted their heads. It was simply enough done. She needed only place the image of Thaddeus in their mind. She felt the saliva run along their withered jaws. They would obey her summons. The vat priests would send their most sanguine minds to Koilos, have a look at Thaddeus. Satisfied, Tsabo Tavoc's consciousness sifted back upward. Her mind withdrew into the caves of Koilos. When the Ineffable had walked the world as a Thran, these had been called the Caves of the Damned. As she returned to the delicious battle, Tsabo Tavoc thought how right that name had been. Certainly for Thaddeus, they once again would be the Caves of the Damned.
My sword unmakes another. I see the tip chop through the thing's belly. It splits wide like a shirt whipping. Out spills strange, dark, wet shapes. The monster comes to pieces. It seems not even to have a will to live. They cannot kill me. It is almost brutal to slay this way. They are no match for me and mine. It is like cutting grain to kill these Phyrexians. It is like chopping wildflowers, except that these flowers shriek, gush. Another goes down. It seems to be almost bowing to me. I split its back. My sword cuts through, separating meat from bone, as if filleting a fish. I charge through the muck of it. My foot crushes a panting lung. I am too well made. Urza has done too much to make me. He has winnowed away humanity, knowing his foes will destroy all that is human. Urza perfected my inhumanity so that I could fight Phyrexians and not be destroyed. I am a greater monster than these things I slay. I am a vat-grown monster whose leash is held by Urza instead of Yawgmoth. The sword hacks through Askuda's shield, the knob of bone beneath. It splashes brain on my feet and chops through to the monster's spine. The creature slumps atop scuttling legs. Dust rolls up around the settling beast. I vault over it, cut through a Phyrexian trooper. It is so surprised by my assault that it stands, gaping, though its shoulder is cut through down to the sternum. I am too well made.
Thaddeus and his 100 had broken through. They drove like demons through the Phyrexian hordes. Ognate was still mired in the slaughterhouse of the Western Front. He fought amid encroaching corpses. Dead Metathran lay in lurid intimacy with dead Phyrexians. Legs and arthropods jutted in heaps, part redoubt, part hazard. Killing another beast, Ognate peered beyond the thing's bulk. Thaddeus fought in the seared distance. Oh, to battle at a run, so fast and free. It's been glorious. Ognate reached out his mind to his counterpart. Above the mad din, he saw it. In all that killing lunacy, Thaddeus was lost. Ognate could not touch his comrade. A greater presence filled the battlefield. A greater mind in jealous possession. It mattered little. Thaddeus would prevail. They knew each other's minds even when they could not touch. Thaddeus was too busy in the running battle. Must have been glorious.